Howdy, howdy, Sue Devil here, and welcome to a correction video, very quick, on some testing I recently did with the nasty Skulkers. And just the quick correction is these Skulkers are not bugged in the way that I thought they were. I think they are still bugged, and I'm going to demonstrate that in one of the two ways I mentioned. But this here, Opportunist Murder, I was going on and on about it only having 3 uses. Well, that 3 on the top corner, as it was pointed out in the comments, which is another reason I love comments. They're so good. Like within an hour, this is actually 3 seconds between uses. If it had a maximum use, it would look like this ability for the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, where it has 60 seconds between uses and a circular arrow with 4 total uses. So this is actually not a bug. It goes off every 3 seconds. And the what I consider the bug, and it may be a feature, we can talk about it, but that's the video. So this is not a bug. The 3 uses is actually 3 seconds. It's rather a misinterpretation by me. I do want to go and talk a little bit about some other things. So the correction part of the video is over, and I just want to have a bit of a discussion on how mistakes are made and how to protect yourself from making those mistakes, and why I kind of really love the comments and the discussions we have with really people who are, people who like to think their way through these things and really notice them, and why I kind of appreciate this little community so much. And so this Opportunist Murder, so when I started the testing of the nasty Skulkers, I didn't have an agenda to look for any bugs or anything like that. I just wanted to do the testing. I was curious. I know they're powerful, and I wanted to see. And when I started doing the testing, these nasty Skulkers were getting this Opportunist Murder go off, even though they weren't winning. They were definitely losing, and just sometimes the combat was even. And you can see this effect. I'll show it against these Norgrimling's Ironbreakers. These Norgrimling's Ironbreakers have charged defense against all. Nasty Skulkers, so their charge bonus won't come into play. They have 26 melee attack. The Norgrimling's Ironbreakers have an 82 melee, was it 82? 86 melee defense, okay. And they have more health, more armor. They're going to have 36 melee attack versus their 16 melee defense. There is no part of any part of this fight that these guys could possibly be winning ever. I mean, even if they charge them in the back, they might not be considered winning. But we'll go take a look, and you'll see that this Opportunist Murder goes off. And that was the thing I started looking at. And then as I looked at the ability, I saw that 3, and my mind just jumped to the conclusion, like bang, oh, this is another bug because I found something I don't like. And that's exactly what happens when you make mistakes. It's so hard to protect against. I mean, I've been an engineer for a very long time, and you always have to try and protect yourself from yourself in jumping to conclusions, and it's quite difficult. So I'm going to turn off Fire at Will, toggle melee mode, and so we're going to start that battle. Now, here we go. These Norgrimling's Ironbreakers are never, ever going to be losing this fight, and these nasty Skulkers are, there we go. Fight is even, and off goes Opportunist Murderer. So that's definitely, in my mind, a bug. They think the fight is even, but they're very, very quickly going to think the fight is losing. This arrow has never been green. They've never gotten the leadership buff from believing they're winning the fight, yet Opportunist Murder has indeed procced. And now they are definitely losing, and the Norgrimling's Ironbreakers are definitely winning. Now this will not proc again, interestingly enough, because they are completely and solidly red. If this even flicks to the even in battle, even a little bit, it will come back up. Like maybe I can make these guys go this way, turn around. I don't know, maybe I can cause this losing the battle to come back. So they are still losing, still losing, still losing. I don't know if I can actually, there we go. There you go. Now this should, no, it didn't come back. Anyways, the point being that definitely this ability shouldn't proc because they're not winning. Now you could make the case that if the battle's even, goblins think they're winning, you know, and there's like some sort of lore-based argument that is you know, sort of comical, that if goblins aren't losing they think they're winning or something like that. But that's not how abilities like these work. They are intended to be not to have some second level of knowledge as to how goblins think to how the ability actually works. You know, they're meant to be a tooltip that makes sense. So I do still think Opportunist Murder is bugged in the sense that it goes off even if you're tied. And we showed that the nasty Skulkers were wavering, and this ability is still going off in a lot of our battles. But that 3 is 3 seconds between, so that is exactly as intended, and is not a bug whatsoever. So, anyways, so yeah, they're going to go ahead and lose. So I'll just concede defeat, and I will talk about this a little bit more because I think it's just, for me, it's interesting to look at my own mistakes and you know, why you make them. And this is why I'm so insistent on doing the testing, and I've tried to do the testing in a repeatable way that you can repeat, because it's important for me to have very repeatable testing that makes it more transparent and easier to objectively evaluate for other people, so that you can see flaws in my thinking or flaws in my testing, so that you get this very fast, you get the fastest learning cycle when you're open to making mistakes, right? When you're open, like when people are very, very afraid, and this goes to just my, you know, career in engineering. Engineers that are really afraid to make mistakes, or even more afraid to be embarrassed about making a mistake, or really afraid to someone to find out they've made a mistake, generally don't learn and progress very fast, because, you know, they don't get a lot of feedback. Engineers or other technical people who aren't afraid to make mistakes and are in an environment with other people that will point out those mistakes and aren't afraid to make mistakes themselves have incredibly fast turnaround on their learning cycles, right? You learn really, really fast because criticism isn't attacking, it is just simple, hey, this is what this means, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I see in my comments. Like, you know, there's a really good group of people here that are really interested. That's why I always say I love comments no matter what, because they're so interesting to me, because they're just a great group of people that can look at these things. And, you know, the feedback I got from this was, hey, that's 3 seconds. That's actually not a bug. It wasn't like, hey, Sue Devil, you dummy. Nothing like that. So this is why I really like this, because I get a faster learning cycle as well, because I get to test, put my testing out there, and I really always ask for comments. I really always want to have that interaction, because I learn really fast. It helped me correct a melee attack and defense video I did earlier this year, and I put out a new one. I'll keep that last one public and as it is, because it's a good the testing itself is good, you know, and it's clear no matter what I thought of whether it's bugged or not, the testing is good, it's repeatable, and we'll see the change over time. And if they do fix this this ability so that it doesn't go off when melee combat is even, we can actually test again and see the difference. And you know, that's that sort of thing. So anyways, when I look at the mistakes that I make, and I'll be curious to hear from some of you guys in the comments, because I know there's a lot of technical people who watch these videos. I know it. You know, you know, just from how you talk, there's, you know, people who are in IT. There's other engineers out there. There's other technical people that watch the channel, because just like me, I like spreadsheet work. I like technical work. I like analysis and all this stuff. And of course, that's of course who would be watching the videos that I like to make, is those same technical people. I'd love to hear from you in terms of your experience in, you know, testing, making mistakes, learning, and particularly the change over time with age. I notice, like, I'm nearing 50 years old. I'm getting old now, and my mind doesn't work the same way it used to work when I was, say, in my 20s. And the nature of the mistakes I make are different now that I've gotten older. And I find like I still jump to conclusions a lot. Like, that is so hard to protect yourself against. No matter what industry, no matter how old you are, it's easy to jump to conclusions. But I find that when I jumped to conclusions when I was young, a lot of it was because I just didn't have life experience or knowledge, and my naivete or ignorance of other knowledge just had, so I had a pretty myopic view of things. I didn't have a full view of things, so it's much easier to jump to very simple conclusions or logic mistakes when you're young because you don't have all the information, and that's where you can make the most mistakes. But as you get older, I find that you get so much experience. Like, I'm been an engineer for a really long time, and lived a lot of life. You start to make mistakes in jumping to conclusion in assumptions, because you know a lot of things. You start assuming things, or you say, oh yeah, this is like that thing I already experienced, so this must be the same. And I find that it's almost more like you make lazy mistakes when you're older, in that you're like, oh well, this will be exactly the same as that thing I tested already 7 years ago, but it's not. So you kind of make lazy is a bad word, like not the right word, but I think some of you are kind of approaching my age might have experienced the same thing, and I find it quite interesting how the nature of your mistakes change as you get older. And I would love to hear from you guys. Anybody out there who thinks about this, because I know, like I say, I know of people that watch these videos are very technical, quite sharp and thoughtful, and I even know from the comments back and forth, like, this is not like a Reddit thread or something like that where it's just flame wars. Like, people genuinely, when I get comments saying this is different, I think this, it is a genuine, hey, this is what I think. It's not I'm right, you're wrong, I'm smart, you're stupid, or anything like that. So the nature of the people that make comments in general is really sort of not good, better, or worse than any other audience or people. I'm not saying that at all, but generally share a thirst for knowledge and a kind of a natural way of sharing information that isn't isn't attacking the person. It's looking at the information itself, which is, I just love the process. So anyways, video was over 15 minutes ago, or I don't know how long the video is. It's just a quick correction on, this is not a bug, this is a 3 seconds. The bug was with the user on this case. I still think the active if in melee and recharge if winning melee is winning melee. That it recharges if you're winning melee combat, and it takes 3 seconds to recharge. That doesn't function. We saw that against the Norgleman's Ironbreakers. There's no scenario where they're going to be winning against the Norgleman's Ironbreakers. It's not actually possible. The best they could do is at the very beginning, when they think it's even, before they know they're losing. So that is absolutely, if it's not a bug, and this is how it's intended to operate, it is definitely confusing to me, at least. Maybe it's not confusing to anyone. Anyways, would love to hear from those of you who think about these sort of things and have careers in technical fields. And this is why I think objective testing is so important. This is why I do a lot of it, because it never fails. There's things that surprise me in the testing that I didn't expect, and that's why you do the testing. And that's why sometimes you even test things that you're quite sure of what the outcome is going to be. Like, you can be really positive based on experience that you know what the outcome of the test is going to be, but you still test it anyways. You still do it anyways because maybe 80% of the time it will turn out to be as you predicted, but those 20% of the time, or 10%, or 5% where it doesn't, leads to fast increase in your personal knowledge, which is really great. So anyways, sort of a rambling video, and look forward to comments like I always do. I love comments, and I love, you know, talking back and forth down below, and it you know, it's particularly satisfying, you know, to push my own knowledge and learn myself through this forum on Total War Warhammer, a game in which I love so much. So anyways, with that said, hope you found the video interesting, for those of you who watch past the correction, and I will see you soon.